and learning to respect your teaware can teach you how to respect other things in your life and respect Mother Earth and the people in your life, and to respect things and treat them properly. And the more we get back in harmony with that, the more we move forward to a new earth that's beautiful, and that matches the beauty inside of us. And so a lot of things in tea, in making tea, are just about that moment of just respecting the bowl and respecting the tea. It doesn't have to be any kind of, it doesn't have to be somber. It could be celebratory. It could be joyous. It could be conversational. But there's a point where, you know, of a recognition of the tea. I see you. You're there. I recognize you. It's,
there's a way you talked about holding the bowl, even.
Yes.
Presented.
Yes. Holding the bowl. I mean, traditionally, there is a way to hold tea bowls, but and I will show you and explain why. But I think it's also important to say that for me, as a teacher and as a tea lover myself, I think that being comfortable and being free and being without any impediments and being kind of unhindered is a huge aspect of tea, no matter how you enjoy it, whether it be beverage or hobby or art or Tao. And so it's a moment outside, a moment disconnected, a moment of peace, and that kind of trumps any and all should or should nots.
So the rules are there, but to be open is key.
To be open is the key. You know, if you find holding the bowl this way uncomfortable, and it's preventing you from getting what you need from tea, that moment of peace or whatever, then why on earth?
Right.
And but for that person, I would then say that also keep an open mind, and maybe there is something to the fact that for thousands of years people have held a bowl this way, and maybe every month or so return to it one time, give it a try again, because just because it's uncomfortable now doesn't mean after you got used to it, after you learned a little bit more about why, you wouldn't begin to feel it. I don't know, perhaps at first I demonstrate it, and then maybe you could also say what your experience was holding the bowl that way versus how you had held it before that.
Sure.
That'd be really great too.
Yeah.
So the left-hand people, and for left-handed people, they need to switch everything. So the left hand is like the tea bowl's rock, its stability, its surface, its table to sit on, and the right hand is like the guide. So it'd be the other way for left-handed people. And this, you know, is very much in martial arts as well. So there's a place in kind of here where the hand meets the fingers. There's already a kind of circular indentation that the bowl kind of fits in right there. So and that's the first aspect of holding the tea, though, is to kind of recognize the difference between one hand and two hands, even with a small cup. First of all, there's again that respect. So when you meet someone and you use one hand or two hands, which do you feel more respect? Two hands is much more feeling, right? And in Asia traditionally, we never hand anything to anyone with one hand. We always use two hands. And if it's a small thing that I can only use one hand, then people often will put their hand here to symbolize two hands. So there's, you know, and try that. You know, be the wisdom. Don't just listen to it. You know, give it a try. One hand, two hands. Any difference? Maybe not. Right. But I found also one-handed tea drinkers tend to focus a little bit less on the tea, more on maybe the conversation, more on something else they're doing. Is that categorically wrong? sometimes, you know, tea is drunk while we work. Sometimes, most importantly, it's drunk while we have great conversations with our friend, like I'm doing now.
Right.
Sometimes, you know, it's celebratory. Sometimes it's peaceful. But there's a sense where we center, we come together, and our focus goes into the tea when we use two hands and put it here. So that's the important thing. Then, so this hand is for stability, and this hand is for guidance, and we kind of set it in there in that little circle space right there, and the thumb becomes there's a thumb. The thumb here is kind of holds it stable, and the second hand is a guide, and it kind of it comes around the first hand and goes like this, and so the underhand kind of fits right into the space between the thumb and the hand right there. Yeah, that's perfect. And we try to keep the fingers closed for the same reason as two hands versus one. If I can I shake your hand one more time? If I put this hand here, or I put it like this.
Right.
Again, there's more there like that, you know? It's just like people doing Reiki, they put their fingers together to keep that energy in, you know? So it's there's something to that. Not squeezing, not uncomfortable, just kind of together. And so this hand comes like this, and when the bowl's really hot, all you got to do is lift your elbow, and this hand comes like this, like a crook. Right. It sits down in there like that. See? Yeah, there you go. And then you just bring it out to the ends of your finger. Right. And then it's really easy to hold because if it's hot, like a hot cup, it's a small cup or a hot bowl. And if you kind of want to be more in the bowl, you kind of just go down a little bit more. And then you hold it like this. And the placement of the shoulders and elbows is important. If our elbows are together, our heart meridian is cut off. The chi flowing from our heart to our body is kind of pinched, and it's a little uncomfortable. And if our elbows are too high, then our shoulders are kind of pinched. And so we found this really amazing, kind of beautiful, romantic, sentiment way of naturally finding the right place for the shoulders and elbows, which is to take the bowl from the heart to the mouth. Kind of just from the center of you to your mouth. Or to the, it's also really nice if when you fill a bowl of tea, you don't set it down continuously, and you kind of sit and be with it, which again doesn't allow for anything else. There's a moment just with the tea, and complete respect for it, and you know, you get rewarded for that. You notice flavors you never noticed before. You notice smells you never noticed before. You notice many things, and maybe even some things about yourself. And maybe you learn from the bowl, as we were just talking about. Some of the insights that I just shared with you about the bowl are insights that I got from doing this very thing for many years. So, kind of sit with it, let it be there, and drink and sit, and it's really nice. My master always taught me that this way of holding the bowl came from millions of years of human beings scooping water from streams and rivers and drinking like this. So, like it's so natural for us to do this anyway, you know, that when a bowl came along, we would put it in our hands that way. And there's just there's something to holding it this way. And another thing you can do is if you squeeze with this part of your hand and your two thumbs, just a little squeeze. Don't drink tea that way. Just for a second, for an experiment. Just squeeze those three. You can feel how stable and sturdy the bowl is. There's no chance of dropping it, breaking it, or anything. And finally, I would say another aspect of respect is, you know, picking the bowl up and setting it down. So at those times we can be a little bit more conscious. Set it down and make sure it's on the table nicely and stable, and then let go. Pick it up a little more gently. Bring some mindfulness to your tea.
Sounds good.
So, was yesterday the first time you had learned to hold the bowl like that?
Yeah, it's similar to the way I held it naturally, but hearing the story behind it and hearing the consciousness to where you would place it in your hands, that was something very new. And I think for me it was just an extension of drinking tea as a whole and bringing attention to the details. And if there's anything I've learned, that there's a never-ending list of details we can keep paying attention to.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's amazing to realize that, literally, this way of Cha Dao is millions of years in the making.
Mm-hmm.
Because there wasn't always tea trees.
Mm-hmm.
And then even the methods and the simple things that we might take for granted, like not only how to make a kettle, but how to hold a kettle.
Mm-hmm.
It might have taken a generation or 2 generations to discover that.
Mm-hmm.
Like any of our technology.
Sure.
Our technology has also grown
Accumulation.
that same way. You don't have iPads without computers. You don't have computers without circuits. You don't have circuits without electricity. You don't have an intelligence building. And no one generation of people could do any of that.
Right.
So even if I sat and drank tea all day long every day, I would be literally nowhere without teachers.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important that we have teachers of the past and of the present. The analogy I always use is with a competent teacher and a book, almost every human being without any learning disabilities can learn algebra in a year or 2.
Mm-hmm.
Only a handful of human beings can learn algebra with a book on a desert island and no teacher. And no human beings can learn it on a desert island without the book or the teacher.
Right.